14 years ago, I made a mistake that I thought I could bury forever. I was young, naive, and foolish, caught up in a whirlwind of emotions and reckless decisions. Back then, life felt like an endless stretch of possibilities, and I believed I could handle anything. But some choices, no matter how small they seem at the time, cast shadows that last a lifetime. I met Aryan when I was 22. He was kind, ambitious, and utterly devoted to me. He made me feel safe in a world where I had always felt uncertain. We fell in love quickly, moved in together after a year, and married before I had fully learned what it meant to grow up. In those days, I was impulsive, living for the thrill of now rather than the consequences that waited silently around the corner. It was during that period of reckless youth that I made the choice that would change everything. I was lonely one summer while Aryan was away on a work assignment. A brief encounter with someone I barely knew, a man who charmed me in ways I didn't understand at the time, led to a night I have regretted every day since. I told myself it didn't matter. I convinced myself that it was a one-time mistake, buried deep and forgotten, and that life would go on as normal. Months later, I discovered I was pregnant. Panic consumed me. How could I face Aryan? How could I raise a child born from a secret I had tried so hard to erase? I made the hardest choice of my life. I didn't tell him the truth. Instead, I leaned on the love and trust Aryan had in me, hoping that my son would be loved unconditionally, even if the circumstances of his conception were concealed. Our son, Kian, was born on a rainy November night. The moment I held him, every doubt, fear, and regret melted away. Aryan's eyes glimmered with pride and love, and I told myself that somehow, some way, he would never know the truth. We named him Kian, and for 14 years I lived with my secret, holding it close, fearing the day it might explode in our faces. That day came unexpectedly. Aryan discovered the truth during a routine genetic screening for Kian's medical checkup. The results, meant to rule out minor issues, instead revealed the devastating truth. Kian was not his biological son. I had kept it hidden all these years, believing my love and devotion could substitute for blood, but science doesn't lie, and neither does fate. When Aryan confronted me, the look in his eyes was a mixture of betrayal, disbelief, and heartbreak. "How could you keep this from me all these years?" he whispered, his voice trembling. I wanted to scream, to cry, to explain, but the words felt insufficient, too small to mend the fracture I had created. "I was young," I said finally, my voice shaking. "I was foolish. I made a mistake, but I loved him. I still love him. He's our son in every way that matters. I raised him, cared for him, and loved him with everything I had." Aryan's silence was deafening. I could see the storm raging behind his eyes, the questions that wouldn't be asked but screamed in the corners of his mind. Did I ever truly know you? Did I ever know him? The days that followed were unbearable. Aryan withdrew, confused and wounded. I watched him sit across from Kian, a boy who had called him dad since birth, unsure how to reconcile the man he had raised with the secret I had hidden. Kian, oblivious to the truth, continued to smile, play, and love, unaware of the tension simmering beneath the surface. I tried to explain, tried to reach him, but Aryan couldn't hear me. I understood. The betrayal wasn't just about infidelity. It was about trust, about the foundation of our life together being shaken to its core. He had built his life believing he was Kian's father, and I had unknowingly stolen that certainty. Yet, as the initial shock faded, I saw glimpses of what we might still salvage. Aryan's love for Kian, though shaken, remained. Blood mattered, but so did years of shared laughter, bedtime stories, scraped knees, and first steps. We had built a life together that was not easily undone, even by betrayal. We began the slow, painful process of healing. Therapy sessions, long conversations, and silent nights of reflection taught us that truth and love are not always aligned, but both are essential. Aryan struggled to accept Kian as someone who wasn't biologically his, but he couldn't deny the bond they had shared for 14 years. And Kian, innocent and unknowing, continued to bring light into our lives, reminding us of the love that had existed long before the secrets were revealed. 14 years ago, I was young and foolish, and my mistake changed everything. But 14 years later, I realized that love is complicated, messy, and sometimes painful. It requires forgiveness, courage, and the willingness to face consequences we never imagined. Aryan may never fully trust me again, and I may never forgive myself entirely, but our lives are intertwined. And Kian's happiness, his sense of family, remains our responsibility. The hardest truth is this: mistakes don't vanish with time. They linger, shape us, and demand accountability. But love, when nurtured with honesty and effort, can endure even the most devastating revelations. And so we continue, broken, battered, but still together in the ways that matter most.